So with regards to how we can use revision strategies to make sure we maximise these three parts of our memory model, is to make sure that we take in strategies that are going to make sure that we don't have limited attention, we don't overload our working memory, and we use the best strategies to make sure things are committed to our long-term memory and then they stay there. Because ultimately, if they stay there, when we have to sit down and do an assessment, then we should be able to pick it out of our long-term memory by remembering and bring it down into our working memory to be able to put it down on a page in an examination. So with regards to our first section about the environment that we're in and our attention, as mentioned, we can only attend to a small number of things at one time. Anything additional is going to be a distraction. So we need to make sure that we do everything we can to zone in on the task in hand and the information in hand. And with regards to doing that, we need to limit those distractions. And one of the key ones is to try and remove distractions. And there's research to show that even just having a mobile phone nearby can give us a 20% reduction in attention and concentration, and therefore limiting our performance. Now, an easy strategy here would be simply to remove that distraction. Try and put that phone, either turn it off, take it out of the room, even better, for that short revision period that you're going to do. I'm going to recommend later that revision periods are somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes. So it's not a long amount of time to have to not have your mobile phone. But the distraction of a phone can actually be even the thought of it being there and checking it, let alone going on it and looking at messages from friends or going on Instagram or whatever it might be. That is going to detract from the success of that revision period. So try and remove your phone and any other obvious distractions from the area that you're trying to revise in. Our second tip regards music. Now, often students think that listening to music is a really good way to help them relax, which will in turn help them revise more effectively. But unfortunately, it's totally the opposite. That the words that we hear during music take up some of that limited working memory space. So even if we don't think they are doing, our brain is ticking over hearing those lyrics and actually making sure that we kind of attune to them and maybe sing along with them. Even if it's not literally singing along, our brain is singing along and it's picking up the words. So unfortunately, lots of us think this is the case, that we would be listening to music to help me revise, but actually it's a distraction. Not necessarily a distraction that we directly know, but it is taking up some of our brain's capacity to work, and therefore we can't retain as much information as we'd like to in the working memory, making it more difficult to encode it into our long-term memory. So exactly here, as we've seen, that information going into our working memory, we've just put something additional into our environment that actually is taking up some of our attention. And it will also take up some of the space in our limited working memory, meaning actually we're not making that revision session quite as effective as it could be. These stats show from the study that the difference between correct answers between people who were listening to music that they either liked or disliked was really similar. Music with no lyrics was slightly better because the brain didn't have to pick out words and different things that your brain could sing along to. But silence was our best bet. So again, trying to limit those distractions and limit the load on working memory. We should reduce the chances of that happening by removing mobile phones, but also making sure that environment that we're working in is close to quiet as possible. So try to reduce distractions that you can choose. Sometimes there are distractions in your environment that you can do nothing about, but when there are, try to take them away.